It's called allodynia, okay? And it's like defined as any type of tactile stimulation, light touch, blowing on the skin, is perceived as being painful. She had that. She had a bad case of it.
What other symptoms or signs did you know?
Well, she had the allodynia. But the point I want to make is you can touch them and figure what this technique is called measuring pain thresholds allowed me to not only just detect it, but to quantitate the magnitude of it, of what she's feeling in her brain. And this device, by putting pressure on the skin, it gives you a number. It's called the pain threshold. So I tell the patient, look, I'm going to apply this device to your skin.
All right, still with me now is retired homicide detective and joining me now, former prosecutor and trial attorney Bridget Williams. And Detective Ken Lang, I appreciate you hanging around here for the last couple hours, but I'm going to have to go to Bridget first. So I'll put you on the spot. What do you think right now, Bridget, with regard to this expert witness? One thing that I see is that there's not a lot of objections, and he's doing what expert witnesses do. He comes off as the professor, educating the jury. This clearly is an experienced witness, and now they're setting up the building blocks for why Maya got the treatment she did. How do you think he's doing?
I think he's doing phenomenal. Counsel is doing a great job of presenting him as an expert. They've gone through all of the studies that he has participated in. They've gone through the awards that he has received. They've gone through just even all of the institutions that he has been a professor at as well. So they are setting him up as an expert for this jury, in which they're doing a great job at. And so that goes on to show that he was an expert in this chronic pain. I wrote it down, make sure I got it right. Complex regional pain syndrome. And so it even goes on to show that he has all of the expert things that he's done, studies to show that he is able to do his due diligence and diagnosing Maya for this particular syndrome. And so that's what we're looking at here. Did he do his due diligence in order to fulfill his duty as a physician? And did he do his diligence to fulfill his duty as a hospital representative?
All right, Detective Ken Lang, let me ask you a question from a law enforcement perspective. We talked about this earlier in the show. Clearly, if the medical professionals felt that there was something that was inappropriate being done, it is their legal requirement to contact law enforcement and or family services, combination thereof in some states. But yet, there's over an 80-day investigation that's going on. Would have it been relevant to you as a homicide detective, but before you got there, I know you must have gone up the ranks before you get to the elite units, would you not want to find out from the family what is going on with this ketamine? What is going on with this diagnosis? Would this not have been relevant for family services and or law enforcement to look into when they have an allegation brought to their attention? And should it take 80 days to have contacted this very guy who's testifying right now?
No, you put the point, the nail of the point right on the head, and that is that this should not have taken 80 days to get to this point. Investigators should have been asking the family about this treatment, about the protocols, and then we actually have resources outside, independent resources outside of the medical institution where she was at that we can contact and speak about. And obviously, or in most cases, we would actually talk to the medical examiner's office and ask about, in this case, they could have asked about the ketamine. What is that? Is this a legitimate treatment? How does it work? Is this an actual study? And then been pointed in direction to Dr. Kirkpatrick. He is a fabulous expert witness who is articulate. He's captivating. I want to go sit in one of his lectures now and listen to him speak. He has really been able to paint the picture about this ketamine, this treatment, the studies that he has done, and the research history regarding this type of treatment. And when investigators learn that kind of information in the background, it speaks volumes to how the investigation should proceed.
Yeah, I think you made an awesome point there. I didn't even think of that law enforcement and child services has access literally to a forensic pathologist in their toolkit who could have done all that lead work, or certainly some other physician that works for the government. And Bridget, let me start with you. Picking an expert should be a very intimate, well thought out, well-researched thing. I can tell you, I have destroyed some experts on the witness stand who either didn't have the qualifications, did not review all of the information, have a terrible cadence in front of the jury. Sometimes they're just too, in the clouds. Some of them want to be the smartest guy or woman in the room. Being an expert is you have to have the knowledge, but you also have to communicate that to a jury with extraordinary credibility. How do you think this expert, Dr. Kirkpatrick, is doing?
Dr. Kirkpatrick is explaining complex medical terms in everyday language. He's very captivating, and he is explaining it just so well. I felt like I was following along just as the jurors were with every word that he was saying. And so he explains it just so well. The purpose of any civil case is to show that the defendants, in fact, are negligent in some kind of way. So what does that mean? Duty, breach of that duty, causation, and damages. And so in this situation, counsel is trying to show that the expert here had all of the knowledge, everything that he talked about, his awards, his studies that he's done, all of those things show that he in fact had a duty, and he obliged by that duty. He did everything that he was supposed to. He didn't breach that duty in any way. And so that's what counsel is trying to show here.
Yeah, Detective Ken Lang, I know that you feel the same way. We talked a little bit about that before. I was a little surprised, doing a great job. See, when I find myself listening, this is why I love the law. This is why I'm always passionate about the law. You can always learn something through these trials, or doing a criminal investigation. It's never the same thing. So I always find it fascinating, but I found myself listening, I'm interested in that. I was buying in. I was believing. I was listening to a medical theory that I'd never heard before. So that's why I believe if I'm feeling that way, the jury's going to feel that way. But he also got to pop out there, and I saw your eyes when it happened, so I'm curious as to your reaction when he threw out there about how much Mom and Maya were very engaged, determined, asked insightful questions. He liked it, and she loved Maya, and Maya loved her. I was surprised that got out, but it did. That's powerful.
It got out. It was powerful, and it's powerful because it goes against the whole defense idea that Maya is making this up, that she just does what Maya wants to do, and that Mom contributed to the issues here. And so, my gosh, Dr. Kirkpatrick, he has been phenomenal, and he has actually set up the defense in a position that they are going to have to start thinking on their feet right now in the courtroom, and may even have to back up and punt, because when he talks about the hyperesthesia, the dystonia, the aldynia, and then the temperature differences, he has corroborated that Maya had this condition, and it's almost erased the defense's argument.
Yeah, I think that we can look about that third chair that I know we talked about before, the empty chair, family services as opposed to the hospital, to kind of push away from this kind of testimony. Guys, listen, awesome job, Detective Ken Lang and Bridget Williams, trial attorney, former prosecutor.